So we're curious about water. And why does water do what it does when it gets hot and when it gets cold? When it gets cold enough, we all know that water turns into ice. And when water gets hot enough, it actually turns into steam. And those are all different forms of the same thing, water. And we call those changes phase changes. So it's changing phase when it goes from, when ice melts, it's changing phase from solid to a liquid. So we generally talk about three phases. We talk about the gas, which is steam, the liquid, which is water, and the solid. So you have the gas phase, the liquid phase, and the solid phase. So why do these things happen to water? Well, water is actually a bunch of little molecules of H2O, which you may have heard of that before. H2O, which stands for two hydrogens. H is hydrogen, 2, and 1 oxygen. And they look kind of like this. There's 2 of the hydrogens attached to the 1 oxygen. Now, if you can imagine, there's a lot of millions and billions and trillions of these water molecules are all around, moving around in here. Now, when you heat things up, if I were to put this on a stove and light a fire under it, then I would be giving more energy to the water molecules and they'd be moving faster. Things get heated up, they move faster, there's more energy in there. And if they get fast enough, they'll actually break free off the top and then just go into the air as a gas, as steam. And the gas is just going to be a whole bunch of different molecules in the air. And this is steam. The gas version of H2O is called steam. The liquid version of H2O is called water. And we know that the solid version of H2O is called ice. So I'll go ahead and draw a little cube of ice. So when water gets cold enough, when H2O gets cold enough, the water molecules slow down, and they actually are able to be closer together and get ordered into rows and then turn into this rigid state of ice. So here we have water in 3 different states, and these are the different phase changes. So when water becomes ice, we know that that's called freezing. And when ice becomes water, that's called melting. So these are the names for these phase changes. Now what about over here? When water turns into steam, that's called evaporating, evaporation, or evaporating. And when steam turns back into water, like on the mirror in your bathroom after you've taken a hot shower, the steam actually condenses. This is called condensing or condensation. Condensing. Evaporating, condensing, freezing, melting. Now there is one more phase change that has a special name all unto itself, and that's when you go straight from a solid to a gas, which is entirely possible. Doesn't happen as often as these other phase changes do. So the word for this process is actually called sublimating or sublimation. Sublimating. And there you go. Those are the words that you can use to describe the phase changes for water. When the water turns into a steam, we know that that's evaporation. It's evaporating. When water turns into ice, we know it's freezing. And when the ice turns back into water, that's melting. Steam turning into water is called condensing. And finally, the bonus word When it goes from ice to steam, that is sublimating. Should write that better. Sublimating. Okay, and if you watch the next video, we will talk more about the changes of water due to temperature.